Good morning, everybody. So you're down here right now for the amateur radio demonstration. So we have Brian and Susan Dudley from S&B Radio, and they're going to be doing the demonstration. So Brian and Susan are from Mississippi, and Susan is a special ed teacher. Brian has a construction business, right? They were here in October. They also go to SRF sometimes, so you can catch them down there every once in a while. But they did for those of you who didn't know, on Friday we have workshops, and they did a ham radio workshop on Friday that if you want to learn how to do this, you need to come to their workshop, because they will walk you, one thing, you get a radio out of it, but they will walk you through everything that you need to know about amateur radio and answer all of the questions that you have. And I'm just going to tell you from experience, this whole thing is very intimidating to me. So if you're like me, you need their class. So Kent was in their class on Friday.
We're working on a date, and if you will go to the KSL webpage,
we'll have it on the webpage.
The new dates will be posted.
Yeah.
We'll have something during the summer, and then we will also do something in October for the next Alma Festival.
So there's different levels in ham radio. There's technician, general, and extra. Both of them are extra. They can do all of the testing for amateur radio licenses, so they can hook you up with all of that stuff. But they're going to do an awesome presentation for you all today. Here you are.
Okay, all right, thank you all for coming to this. I'm having to use a mic. Usually I use my tractor voice, but I've been talking so much for the past couple of days that I have to use a mic. Do what?
Mic's not working.
The mic's not, yeah, the mic's working. All right, I'm up here. Here we go. Okay. Like I say, I usually don't use a mic. Like Sheila was saying, we're out of Mississippi, S&B Homestead Radios. We got into ham radio about 10 years ago and have enjoyed it and decided to get back to the hobby. It took us 2 years to be able to get licensed because we could not find a group or people to help us get licensed, help us study, tell us where to get information, anything. We had radios we listened to, because you can listen to a radio without a license. That's not a problem. So we listened for 2 years. Finally found a group, taught us, and that started our journey. And we haven't looked back. We've had a blast doing it. We go out and we set up in parks, do what's called Parks on the Air, which is practicing emergency communications. We use portable radios. This is a little portable radio here. We'll take a wire antenna, put it up in a tree, and talk all over the country. All right. Ham radio. This is a high frequency radio. That will go around the world. This, which most of you probably have or have looked at, the little bow fangs, they are for local communications. All right? They will, local communications, 5-10 miles, okay? If you're in very good conditions and you're not in urban environments, you're not in hills and valleys and stuff like that, this will do that. But if you've got hills and valleys, 2 to 3 miles is all you're gonna get out of this, okay? So don't buy one of these and expect it to reach 20 miles to your daughter's house or your son's house or your mother's house. It's not gonna do it, all right? With these type of radios, you have it takes power and antenna height to make these radios work, these frequencies on these radios, okay? This, I've had people talk from Mississippi down into Jamaica, Puerto Rico, Cuba on 10 watts of power. Canada, we hit Canada regularly on low power from Mississippi. All right, you can take these radios, pump them up to 1,500 watts, talk around the world with no problems. The thing about an HF radio, it's not so much about the power as it is about the antenna. that is with most radio, it's about the antenna. You can take a super fantastic radio, and if you've got a crappy antenna, you're not going to talk to anybody. You take an okay radio, put a good antenna with it, and you can talk around the world. That's it.
If you came by our booth yesterday, we had an antenna setting up outside the booth. It was just tall. It's a vertical antenna. That's what we have set up on the hill today to receive in here on this radio. So we can receive on that one in here, but it's a little hard to transmit just because of the conditions around the building.
You can improve these radios by changing out antennas. The small antennas that you get with them, the little rubber ducks, they're okay. They'll do pretty good. You can upgrade to a more of a loaded type antenna. This one has coils in it. It increases the gain on the antenna, which increases the range that you can talk on the antenna, on the radio. All right? Most of these are rated for 5 to 8 watts. Realistically, they put out 3 to 5 watts. And you start checking. All right? Oh gosh, no. If you're getting 3 to 5 miles, you're doing real good. All right. One of the things that we always stress: these are great radios. There's nothing wrong with them under the right conditions. All right. If you've got these, put one in the car, start driving, talk and drive, and then that way you'll know how far you can reach with these radios. We do that a lot. Now, if you're going from hilltop to hilltop, maybe I'm gonna get 7, 8, 9 miles. All right? But if you're on this side of the hill, and whoever you want to talk to is on the other side of the hill, these radio waves will not go through that hill. All right? These are called line of sight radios, meaning that if I can pretty much see it on the horizon, I can talk to it. Because the radio waves that come out of these travel in a straight line, and then they'll shoot straight up and go through the atmosphere. All right? This radio, the high frequency radios, are not line of sight. Their signal goes up, hits what's called the ionosphere, and bounces back down. And depending on how you have that antenna mounted, or which antenna you're using, it can go up and go way that way, or you can go up and come straight back down again. So if you're wanting to talk to somebody within 100 miles, you take an antenna, put it horizontal. That makes the signal go up and come straight back down. If I'm wanting to talk from Kentucky up to Canada, I'm going to take my antenna and slope it a little bit more. That changes my angle, so it's going to go up, hit the ionosphere, and go further before it comes back down. By doing that, you can talk just about anywhere you want to. We have made contacts from Mississippi all over the world on this radio and 100 watts of power. You'll notice that this radio is running on a battery. This particular battery will push this radio and the accessories that I put with it. We've run 2 of these radios for 6 hours of continuous transmitting and only used 50% of that battery. Right? So they're fantastic for what we are looking for in the preparedness community. These batteries can be recharged through solar panels, or you can plug it into the wall and recharge it with the regular battery charger. All right? All right? Using these keeps you in practice. That takes us down another rabbit hole in a minute. When you get your radios, don't check it off the list, throw it in a box, and put it in the closet. It doesn't work. You've got to use it. You know, a lot of people, oh yeah, we've got that radio. I don't know when was the last time you used it. What? Okay. Which what'd you buy it for? Well, I want to talk to my wife. Okay. Do you know what frequency you're going to talk to your wife on? Is your wife's radio programmed for the same frequency that your radio is? Do you know how to program that radio to make it talk on the same frequency? Okay? It's not plug and play. It's not like your phone. Okay? You have to use this stuff. All of y'all go out there, you all go to the gun range. You take that new toy that you just got and you'll burn a bunch of ammo through it. You'll keep going out to the range to play with that toy. You'll buy this and throw it in a box. This can save your life just as well as that gun can. This can give you information. Information is power. If you don't have information, you cannot make an informed decision. That's what radio provides for you. It gives you that opportunity to make that informed decision.
A good way to practice with these radios is on your homestead, on your farm, with your grandchildren, trek through the woods. They can, or your children. You can practice, and it's just fun practice, but you're learning how the radio works. You're learning which buttons to push. You're learning what happens when you push the wrong buttons and now you're on the wrong channel and you can't talk to anybody. But use it and play with it. Before long, it'll just become just as much a habit as this is.
Yes. 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 The question was, do you need a license to talk on the radio? Yes. On the ham frequencies that we're talking about that go the distance, there are 3 levels. You have a technician level, which is your entry level. You have a general class license, it's level number 2, and then your extra class license, level number 3. Your technician class license allows you to talk legally on the ham frequencies bands on these type radios. Yes, ma'am. You can listen all you want to. You just can't talk on the radio. All right? Your general class license and above will allow you to talk on the HF bands, the high frequency bands that can reach across the country, around the world, across the region, or stretch out 100 or 200 miles. All right? Then you have GMRS license, General Mobile Radio Service. All right? General Mobile Radio Service license, you can get one of those without a test from the FCC. You go on, you register on the FCC website. It's a $35 license, and it is good for the entire family. Mothers, fathers, brothers, sisters, grandkids, in-laws. All right? It is good for that. Yes, ma'am? 10 years. And then you renew it. You don't have to retest or anything. Once you have your license, you have your license. Yes, just keep it renewed. And then once it expires, if you forget, you do have 2 years to renew it without taking a test. But you're not supposed to be talking on the radio while your license is expired. Okay? So, yeah, it's pretty forgiving on that. Questions? Yes, ma'am. We teach the technician class. Once you get your technician license, it's pretty much on your own to study on the next ones. It gets pretty in-depth. You can go as far down the rabbit holes on those as you want to. We have our extra class licenses. We got our extra class just so we could teach and do testing. The average ham just needs his general. Okay? You just need your general class. The extra class license will open up some additional frequencies to talk on, but for the most part, the general license covers the most popular bands and the most popular frequencies that you're going to want to talk on. Yes, ma'am?
What's the difference between a CB and this type of radio?
The question is, what is the difference between a CB radio and a ham radio or the UHF VHF? CB radio operates on what's called the 11-meter band, all right? and we have preset channels. Currently, CB operates on 1 to 40. All right. HF operates on frequencies within the bands, so I'm not limited to a specific channel. Like I've got this one set at 14 something, but I can go on the 20 meter band and the frequency within a 20 meter band. If I want to talk on 14.320, that's fine, but if somebody's on that particular frequency, well, I can go in and punch 14.325 and talk. Or on CB, if you're on channel 1, and somebody said, well, you have to go to channel 2, and you have to go to channel 3. I have an infinite number of frequencies that I can talk on using ham radio. GMRS is the same thing. It is a channel-specific type of radio. That's why we suggest ham, because then you can develop what's called a PACE plan for communications. Your primary form of communications, an alternate form of communications, a contingency form of communication, and an emergency form of communication. All right? Everybody, this is your primary form of communications. You talk on this every day, your little pocket computer, okay? So you use voice on that. An alternate form would be text messaging across that same platform. Then you get down to contingency. Well, had a storm come through, knock down all the cell towers. That's not going to work. You start going to this radio. You know, I've got to find out where my family is. They all have these in their car. We're all within about 5 or 6 miles of each other. So we're going to talk on this. I'm going to find out where everybody is. All right?
And you're going to find out where everybody is only if they know what frequency to tune to, and you've all got it programmed in your radio. Because if you don't, you can talk all day long, but they're not going to hear words you say. You can also scan frequencies and listen for other people talking. And if you want to talk to them, you can talk to them, or you can just listen. But if you're really trying to reach another person, they've got to have equipment that they can hear you on and that they can talk back to you on, and they need to know. I still call them channels. I get in trouble for it, but which frequency you're working on. Yes.
Yes. That's part of your PACE plan. Okay. All right. We're gonna talk on this radio, and I'm gonna be on in case of emergency. I'm gonna be on that radio at 5 minutes before the top of the hour till 5 minutes after the top of the hour. So if it's 12 o'clock, 11:55 to 12:05, I'm going to be on this radio on this frequency. Okay? And then it's part of your PACE plan. Okay, I made no contact during that time period. So, all right, my PACE plan tells me I'm going to wait till the bottom of the hour. So at 12:30, I'm going to be on at 12:25 till 12:35, listening and transmitting to try to talk to you. All right? So, somebody's already talking on that frequency. Well, what do? Well, part of my PACE plan tells me this is my alternate frequency. Okay? So if there's somebody there's somebody already talking on that frequency, well, I'm not going to talk over them. You know, it's in a party line. So I'm going to go to my alternate frequency. But that is why you develop a PACE plan, so radios will work for you. Yes, sir.
Now, you're talking about changing frequencies, 555. What about if you're using a repeater? How do you change if your PACE plan has you set on a certain frequency and you have to use a repeater?
Okay. All right. He's asking about a repeater. What a repeater is, it is, you've got a tower, you've got an antenna way on top of the tower with a radio down below. It is on a set frequency. All right? The repeater in my town, the frequency for it is 145.490. So when I talk on that particular repeater, My radio signal goes into that repeater and then is rebroadcast on 145.490. Right? Because that antenna is 500 feet in the air, it covers a very large distance. Okay? Actually, for our repeater, from where I can hit it at the maximum range to where it goes, it'll cover about 60 miles. Right? But it is locked into that frequency. So when people are talking on it, you'll have to break in. Right? If it's an emergency, that's understandable. We don't rely on repeaters because they can go down. Most of those operate on power off the grid. They do have a battery backup to them, but the batteries, depending on the traffic, may only last 5 or 6 hours. Or, like in the case of our big tower, we had a major tornado come through and wipe the tower out. So all the hams that were used to talking on the repeater that didn't have alternate plans couldn't talk to anybody because they didn't have their PACE plan set up to know what the alternate frequency was.
And one of the reasons for only checking in at the top of the hour and the bottom of the hour is because if you continuously try to transmit up here, you're going to kill the battery pretty quickly. And you're not going to have a radio that works all that way. And that's just to conserve your battery power, so you can still talk when finally you're hearing somebody there.
And it doesn't have to be the top of the hour or the bottom of the hour. It can be the top of the hour or the quarter of the hour. Whatever you develop, that's the beauty of doing a plan like this, is you get with your group and you develop the plan that works for your group. Radio is not one size fits all. All right? It's moaning at us. Okay. All right. That's one thing to remember. When you ask somebody about radio, one of the first things that's going to pop out of a ham's mouth is, it depends. All right? It depends. Because they should ask you additional questions like, who are you wanting to talk to? How far away they are? What are their capabilities? What is in between the two of you? Those are all questions you need to ask before you try to develop a communications plan. Or buy equipment. All right? We've had people come up in the booth, talk to us, that are wanting to talk to their family a couple of 100 miles away. They're saying, I've got some of these, will it do it? No, it won't do it. It will not do it. I'm not going to sell you something that doesn't fit your needs. That does none of us any good. Our whole goal is to get you prepared for emergencies. We prepare for more real-world emergencies, tornadoes, ice storms, power outages. Okay, that's what happens to us every day. During the summertime, we get lightning storms that come through. It knocks our power grid down. If I have to talk to her or the family, and the power's out, the cell phone tower's out, we pick up the radio. Yes, ma'am.
So if I have a group and I got one 20 miles away, I got one 20 miles away, I got one 20 miles away. Do we all have to have whole day radio?
Not really. And the question is, if you've got a group that are different miles apart, 3 miles, 50 miles, 100 miles, okay? Your communication plan with them is going to be different. Because your 3 mile person, you may be able to talk to them with this, all right? Your 100 mile person, you can't talk to them with this. You're going to have to use this.
So we would both have to
You would both have to have this, yes, in both locations. All right? But that's what I'm saying. One radio, one size does not fit all. You've got different plans out there for different things. All right? So you can get these to mount in your trucks. You can mount them in your cars. You can make mobile services. We did we've got a friend of ours that contacted us. He said, "Can you set me up? I travel from Tennessee to Pennsylvania, and I want to be able to talk back to Tennessee, and I want to be able to talk up to Pennsylvania on my route." So he said, "How can we do that?" Well, I got him a mobile HF radio that he could put in his car, and he can also take it out, and a mag mount antenna, meaning a magnetic mounted antenna on the top of his roof. All right? We have a portable battery, so he's not permanently hooked into his car because he wanted to put it back in his house. He didn't want to buy 2 radios. So he travels that way. He talks to Pennsylvania. He talks back to Tennessee. On the one radio, everything works fine.
So a mobile unit can be a base station too.
Yes, but the question is, can a mobile unit also be a base station? Yes, a mobile unit can be a base station as well. Right? This radio is designed to be mobile or a base. We take it.
Still have to have two if I want to talk to her.
Yes, you still have to have 2. All right, a couple more questions. Yes, sir.
Now, you said that radio go up to 1,500 watts. Is that what I heard? Or a radio, HF radio can go up to
All right. Question is wattage on the radio. As this radio sits, it does 10 watts. All right. I have an amplifier that I connect to this radio. It'll take it up to 125 watts when I'm working portable. I have an amplifier at my house that will run it up to 1,500 watts.
What type, I mean, I realize again, it's all based upon conditions. Okay?
Yes.
100 watt, 200 watt, what would be for a person that's getting into this, for a base station or mobile, what would be a good middle of the road type?
100 watts. Very, very, very seldom do I turn my big amplifier on at home. Usually when I turn my big amplifier on at home, I'm mad at somebody.
You overtalk everybody.
I overtalk everybody. We do a lot of, it's not really contesting, but we work a lot of event stations and things like that. And you'll get a bunch of people calling in, and that's called a pile-up. I don't know if I can get one tune up here in a minute, but it's a pile-up. And me being in Mississippi, my radio propagation is not the best in the world where I live. And sometimes I'll get some guys on there that just really irritate me. So I'll go ahead and turn my amp on and turn the power up, and then I can talk to anybody I want to talk to. Yeah, I overtalk everybody. Not supposed to do that. You're only supposed to use the necessary amount of power. Okay?
So
But
with 150 watts, how far could you broadcast in a mobile?
depending on your antenna and your location,
Decent antenna.
okay? I've picked mobile stations up in Mississippi from California, Oregon, Canada,
Oh, okay.
Italy.
Atmospherics also.
Atmospherics play a big part of that.
Get balanced.
Yes. Okay. All right. If some of you are wanting to go the sheet processing, it's fixing to get started. We're going to go here. If y'all have some more questions, I'm more than willing to answer some more questions, or we can walk over to the booth and I can answer questions over there, whatever y'all would like.
I have one quick.
Yes, ma'am.